Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Ellie, and I'm here with Nicholas.
The Oklahoma from the Midwest.
The Oklahoma from the Midwest. I finally got him tied down after many weeks of him deciding he's going to go see his girlfriend, which, bro, I get it.
Long distance is hard.
Long distance do be hard, and you be getting pussy, but the fans need us. They need our content. We are spreading the good news.
In full disclaimer, all of our episodes are strictly opinion-based and not entirely quote-unquote factual unless you look outside the box.
Correct. Nothing we say is based on anything other than we spend too much time on the internet. And these are thoughts and opinions that we have come across on the internet, and we have decided that they make us think a little bit. So we're here to discuss those thoughts.
We are free thinkers.
Exactly. Free thinkers. And with that being said, the content of some of what we're going to be talking about this evening is of a little bit of a sensitive matter. We are going to be discussing the Maui wildfires and some of the conspiracies and controversies that we've seen on the internet going around it. Nothing we say is in any way mean that we are making fun of or trying to make light of the situation of what is going down in Lahaina on Maui, or in Maui. Our hearts go out to all the victims and their families, and you guys are in our thoughts and prayers. But with that being said, I'm wearing a blue headband because apparently this color blue is super safe from laser beams.
So is that like the new version of a tinfoil hat?
That's what I'm going with. I think it's going to be the new tinfoil hat for days. Everybody on my friends list, they're all getting this. I got like a 5-pack on Amazon. I'm not even shitting you, bro.
Fucking Amazon. Jeff Bezos thanks you.
That's fine. I thank him for the headbands. But, bro, how crazy is it, though? Like, I've been seeing things from aliens to the direct laser beams to what actually is being reported on the news as that it was an
electrical fire.
Right. So we'll step back a little bit. For those of you who don't know what's going on, because most of our fan base is not in the U.S.,
and this happened a few weeks ago, to be completely fully transparent. This didn't just happen, but it kind of did just happen. But this was technically a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago.
Right. So this happened back on August 9th, the night of August 9th. And the reason why we're kind of discussing it now, and we haven't really touched on it in the past, is not a lot of information is being released about what's actually going down in Hawaii. Like, we're being told here on the mainland that it's not that serious. It was just a wildfire. It is what it is. So the story that's being pitched is basically that on the night of August 9th, it was super dry, super hot conditions. And off the coast, there was a hurricane coming in, and it was pushing like super strong winds onto the mainland. Now, the Hawaiian Electrical Company did not do a great job maintaining any of their electrical wires or the trees surrounding that. So I'm sure you guys can start to put together high winds, trees, electrical wires, shit's getting flung around.
The electric company was told not to even touch the branches because people even asked the electrician. It's not even electricians. They asked the
power company?
The power company. Yeah, there you go. They asked the power company, like, aren't you supposed to maintain these branches? And they said, we were told not to touch them. And this is pre-fire.
Pre-fire, they were told, yeah, we don't need to worry about those. That looks super safe. Like, we're not going to worry about it at all. And then, as soon as the fire started, the officials didn't want to sound the alarms because they didn't want to create a panic, because then they were concerned that people would react to a flood warning, not a fire warning, and go to where the highest points were, but that's actually where the fires were. So they just didn't say anything, and they were just like, it'll sort itself out. We'll be fine.
It'll burn out.
Then the fire trucks ran out of water because it's an island, so there's no fresh water like anywhere, and most of the water gets routed to Lahaina, which is the main city. So most of the water is being routed to Lahaina. The fire trucks were not authorized to use their reserve water until the fire had already reached Lahaina, and it was too late for them to do shit.
It had already caused damage, and they were told, okay, well, it's already done this, this, and this. We're just not going to use that water. Which, that raises red flags all the way around regardless. As a firefighter, I'm not even a firefighter, but I do have friends that are firefighters, and all of them, I've kind of bounced the ideas off of them, and they've said that just sounds completely sus, and rightfully so. Even someone that does, again, not a firefighter, if we're thinking that, and then you talk to actual firefighters, that just seems completely like, why would you not go above and beyond?
And here's the other part of that too, right? Like, so in the US, or at least I know in Connecticut and Massachusetts, if you're a firefighter in a town, you have to be a resident of that town. So think of all of these firefighters that live on Maui and they're just like, bro, our houses are burning down. Let us go put out the fires. Imagine, like, that would stress me out so much. But anyways, so then there's that whole part of it. But then you start to look a little bit deeper. And like I said, this is not being talked about at all here on the news. Like, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on and not a whole lot of like, hey, by the way, there's a whole fuck ton of missing people that are just unaccounted for.
Yeah, children.
So mostly children.
Mostly children.
So, question for you. What's the highest death toll that you've seen actually reported in the United States?
It has changed every single time, but it was way past thousands.
So, what I just saw as actually reported as of tonight on like CNN's website, only 115 people have been reported dead with a missing total of 66 people.
That doesn't sound anywhere right.
Nope. And then a really quick search on TikTok. I follow a woman. Honestly, I can't remember her name, so I do apologize. But I do follow a woman who lives in Lahaina, and she was talking about how her friend is one of the local morticians, and their death toll is 408 is the official death toll that they have, but then 2,000 plus people are missing.
It always gets downplayed when it hits like mainstream like media and stuff like that, and that's only because it's to the way I guess they look at it is to protect the general public, but in my eyes it's too hot. You don't want to be completely transparent with people.
Exactly. It's the lack of transparency or the fact that they're trying to hide something. Because think about it. So obviously we're on the eve. We're recording this episode September 10th of 2023. So on the eve of what was arguably one of the most disastrous occurrences in the United States that got arguably some of the most media coverage of anything that's happened here in the U.S. And again, respect and everything to all the victims of 9/11, but that death toll was 1,100 people. And we have a missing total of 2,000 individuals, mainly women and children.
Sounds like human trafficking to me.
Sus. Well, I mean, there is indication that our good old buddy Daddy Hanks was involved in the Lahaina fire or the Maui wildfires, and whose name also appeared on a very suspicious list of a man who just happened to kill himself in prison.
Epstein.
So weird. But what's even weirder, because I don't actually think there is any human trafficking going on here. I think what legitimately happened, when you're looking at the pictures of like the rubble in Maui, right? Mm-hmm. And you see all of the lined up cars of people who supposedly parked their cars, got out and ran. All the doors are closed, right?
All the doors are closed. The metal, the aluminum of the rim is like you took like what you've seen like in science projects where they take like an extremely hot blowtorch and it melts down and you like create like little beads and stuff like mercury and stuff like that. And so, but what's funny is that has to reach a certain boiling point for that to happen. But what's underneath those cars, Ellie?
Asphalt.
And you're going to tell me that the asphalt is stronger than the metal that is on those wheels. I'm going to tell you right now, jet fuel does not burn steel beams, and wildfires cannot get to that heat where they burn or melt aluminum like that, like or whatever metal rims are made out of on a car.
So I'm actually Googling what the melting point of aluminum is, and that's 1,221 degrees Fahrenheit.
And what is asphalt?
As I can't spell.
ASPH.
I figured it out.
Okay. Fucking
it's
autocorrect.
It's between 130, but it's got like a weird little dash in front of it. It's squiggly. I don't know what that means. I was homeschooled.
I don't
And
know what it means
then
either.
343 degrees Fahrenheit. That one I could read.
Weird. So if it's able to burn aluminum like that,
almost 3 times.
And you're going to tell me that it did not even scorch or warp the asphalt? No. I'm a C average student in the Midwest, and I barely passed high school. I know when those numbers don't add up, something is going on.
It seems a little suspicious.
Yeah.
But my point about the cars was, and the missing people, if you were getting out of your car to run away from something that was coming at you in your car, are you going to bother to close the doors?
No, I'm fucking full sprinting.
So if every single one of those car doors is closed, it might indicate that, no, people were burned alive in their cars, dude.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Whole families were burned alive in their cars. I was watching, right before this episode, I was watching a whole bunch of TikTok videos where they're talking about, like, this lady was saying, granted, all of this has to be taken with a grain of salt, because this is like, well, my friend and these people, like, so all of this with a grain of salt, but there are reports of people saying, like, no, when we go to the cars to start, like, searching for them or for beings or anything, they're finding, like, whole families burned alive in their cars. Like, charred.
Well, and you know what? Have you heard the story, it was from a local, I saw the video on TikTok. He's a local fisherman. He's retired, and he fishes along that Lahaina where all those cars were. And there was a cop that had all those cars stopped and was not allowing them to redirect. And he asked him, well, why aren't you letting these people? He's like, I was told not to let anyone go anywhere. He said, well, you got to get these people out of here because they are going to, the fire is like right there. And the cop said that I cannot let anyone go. And so and that's from a local, from Lahaina.
From another local of Lahaina, he said he was driving on the highway, like, past Lahaina. So he was in Maui, driving past Lahaina, and he was routed off the highway into Lahaina, into the traffic, and then they barricaded the road behind him by police officers. So they were literally forcing people into this, because in Lahaina, I've never been there, so I don't know. This is just reporting that I have seen. Apparently, there's one road into Lahaina and one road out of Lahaina. There's no other way to get in and out. So they were literally barricading these people into Lahaina so that they couldn't move. And the only people that survived were people that were jumping in the water and just barreling through the blockades. Because there was nothing on the other side of the blockades. No fires, nothing.
So there is, I don't know if this is correct. So there's a conspiracy. There's another conspiracy about this whole thing. Like how I was talking about the cops and all that, or the cop. Yeah. There is, I don't know what the cop's name is, or I'd have to find it. And we're gonna have to do a follow up because there's so many Reddit posts.
So many, but it's Reddit and TikTok are like the only two sites that have anything.
That's what I originally saw. It was about this cop, and apparently this cop that is, I don't know if he's the chief or whatever, but he transferred from, I want to say it was the Las Vegas shootings, or from the guy that shot from the tower or from the hotel room.
Yeah.
I believe he was the police chief there. Ironically enough, he transfers to Lahaina.
Okay.
And I don't know, it rose a lot of questions.
No, that do be rising a lot of questions, because a lot of those, a lot of those huge tragedies have, like, obviously a lot of conspiracies around them, saying that it was the government, which I'm not saying is true or untrue. But what I do think is weird is that a lot of the same names be popping up in a lot of these big issues that arise. Now, it's not uncommon for crops to transfer from place to place, but what is uncommon is to experience two total life history moments
in a short time frame.
Right. Like, that's weird.
That were involved with, quote unquote, what seems like crowd control. Population control, let me rephrase. Population control.
I mean, there is that. But then so I guess my biggest thing with that is just like, there was information that came out saying that a new order was signed by the the Hawaii state officials in regards to emergency relief. And then also there was some documents that were leaked that were basically approving the way that the situation was handled before it was handled. If that makes, like, days before these documents were signed, I want to say, so the fires happened August 9th. These documents were signed on the 5th. You want to tell me that they just were casually natural disaster prepping 3 days before that happened?
Well, actually, that actually makes a lot of sense as to where to be fishy, because if you remember during COVID and there were a lot of protests and quote unquote riots happening, what did you see getting planted around cities, major populated cities during riots? There were pallets neatly stacked bricks, rocks, and other shit to help cause riots.
So you mean we didn't just have an influx in cobbling? Like
no.
making cobblestones?
Yeah, nobody just picked up a random trade to be to do masonry.
Damn. Here I was thinking the trade schools were making a comeback.
No. No, yeah, that shit was strategically placed for all of that. So, I mean, I get that makes a lot of sense in all honesty.
And we are going to definitely have to do a follow-up episode because I will find that documentation that I was talking about and list the actual names. Because I remember reading it. I was really tired because it was 3 a.m. and I was like, I need to talk about this. I'll come back to it tomorrow. And I did not come back to it tomorrow.
Well, what's also funny about the whole Maui thing is that for the longest time, it's been talked about that they want to turn Maui into a quote unquote smart city, which strictly runs on only electricity. And that is its only form of efficiency. And so a lot of the natives were just not wanting to give up their property, rightfully so. They've been there for fucking years. It's been passed down through family.
There's a lot of sacred land in Hawaii as well. Like, people have to remember, like, Hawaii is, by all rights, Hawaii is kind of like its own separate culture from the United States.
It is.
They have aren't they like one of the oldest native tribes, like, in the area?
Well, I mean, we have Native Americans.
Nick, we lost you.
So with Maui, I guess as they've been talking about wanting to put Maui as the first, quote unquote, first city to be a smart city, which is strictly run on nothing but electricity, and that's all its efficiency. And so a lot of the natives were not wanting to give up their land, and they didn't want to do that because it's going to tarnish the land. Like, they already don't want the other part of the United States coming to even be tourists there in vacation, because it completely downgrades the island. We trash it and stuff like that. And when I say we, I just mean as
Americans
a are
fucking disgusting. Have you seen the beaches around here?
Oh yeah, they're bad.
Have you been to Cape Cod? They're fucking gross.
I've been to Galveston, and I've been to Galveston. I've been to the only beach that's actually been nice to me is Laguna in California, which oddly enough, saying California was nice, it was the views, not the city. So or the state. Let's just get that completely cleared up real fast.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's not even going to be part of America soon anyway. They're on a fault line. They're about to break off.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. And next is Florida.
Yeah. Not Hawaii, though, because we don't want them to go away.
But
we love Hawaii. But yeah, no, and like the thing is too, as I was saying before we ran into some technical difficulties, I believe Hawaii is some of the more sacred grounds in America. Like, they're one of the oldest indigenous populations, aren't they? I think they're older than the actual Native Americans here in the state, like on the mainland.
Well, see, now that I don't know, and because I have a Midwest education, and so I immediately think that Native Americans have been here longer than anyone else. I completely forget that Hawaii being off the fucking completely off the map and not even touching the United States, had indigenous people prior to. I mean, Christopher Columbus didn't invade and pillage and all that Hawaii.
Not that we know of.
That we know of, but
history has been whitewashed, people. There are things we don't know.
It definitely has been.
But, I mean, I believe Samoans are the natives of Hawaii. Let me fact check that.
Samoans are from Samoa.
Yeah, but I thought native Hawaiians had a lot of Samoan in them.
I thought that was Polynesian.
Okay, so native Hawaiians are the indigenous Polynesian people of the Hawaiian Islands.
Polynesian sauce.
Correct. From Chick-fil-A, the Lord's chicken. Shit's bomb. Anyway, so we're both just dumb and white. But regardless, there's still a lot of like land in Hawaii that like the native people hold very dear. And something also to note about that, because we're just so good at ruining things as white people.
I.e. Puerto Rico.
I.e. Puerto Rico. While I was researching a little bit about just some of the background of Hawaii, so back in World War, I think it was actually both World Wars, the island of Kahu'olawi, I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm probably butchering it, and for that, I'm sorry. I'm white and dumb.
I'm not going to even try.
There's apostrophes and extra O's in places, so I don't understand. Anywho, so there was this island of Hawaii, and the military basically just told the natives to, like, go fuck themselves. We're going to use this to test, like, nuclear bombs and shit. So at first they were just using it for just basic military testing during the First World War. And then obviously, like, as things started to ramp up and whatnot, technology became a little bit more bigger and boomerier. So they basically just like destroyed this whole island and turned it into a landing strip and then just dropped bombs on it. And the fallout
in the water and everything.
Yeah.
And that's how Godzilla came about.
Correct. And that's how we have Godzilla. But because of the fallout and also like literal warheads and like unexploded ordinances are still just chilling there. Like all of the people in the surrounding areas are now having like severe side effects from all of the testing that was done, from like cancer, asbestos poisoning, black lung, like all the things that, you know, Shocker. Veterans are suing the United States for. These poor people who never signed up for any of this shit, just trying to live their life on an island, are now suffering from. So that's kind of what leads me into this whole idea that this definitely could have been a governmental land grab for Hawaii. That mixed with, so that historical fact of knowing that the U.S. has utilized Hawaii for testing different weapons and things of that nature, but also the AI, like trying to make that an AI island, and the native people being like, obviously, no, go away, this is our land. Mm-hmm. But then just on top of that, just a little bit, just to add fuel to that fire. One of the conspiracies.
That's a poor choice of words.
Oh, too soon.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Anyway, as I was saying, gosh, you made me lose my train of thought. And
I'm not the one that said that added fuel to the fire, and we're talking about the Lahaina fires. I mean, I just feel like that was a poor choice of words to add into that. Like, to add a little salt. We could have probably just said to add a little salt to the wound, or any other like euphemism or metaphor, and you chose add fuel to the fire.
Okay. But the Tommy Bahama umbrellas didn't add any fuel to the fire.
Yeah, no, they still stand strong.
And that's why we're wearing blue, people.
All I know is in my life, I just want to be as strong as that fucking umbrella.
Yo, I saw another video about
the Simpsons?
blue t-shirts. Oh, listen, we're going to talk about that in a second, because I want to fucking know who's writing the Simpsons episodes. I have questions. Why aren't you using your powers for good? We will get into that.
This is why right there, the Illuminati.
It checks. And honestly, the best way to hide in plain sight is by making a stupid fucking cartoon that no one takes seriously, and most of us weren't allowed to watch as children because it's inappropriate. But I digress.
Are you just because you weren't allowed to watch it doesn't mean the rest of us weren't allowed to watch it.
Listen, I know a lot of people who weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up. They were all also part of my cult.
Okay, so this all checks out.
But, like, for real, though. Like, so I was watching this TikTok video. This person's going through all this rubble of, like, burned down stores. And he comes across a t-shirt store, and the only t-shirts. The entire building is incinerated on the ground. And then you see, like, in the rubble, he's looking around, and he spans over. There's a pile of cobalt blue fucking t-shirts right there. Still with the price tags on them and everything.
Those are some strong-ass shirts.
What are they made out of? But apparently, because I went down the scientific rabbit hole of that, so laser beams and laser beam technology is all based off of light. And light and color theory have a lot to do with each other. So apparently, if we're going to go down the laser beam rabbit hole for a minute here, certain laser beams cannot get through the color blue. They can't penetrate it because how the lights and prisms work, they can't, like, all a laser beam is like a fancy light, like rainbow. That's literally all it is. So it can't break through the molecules. Spectrum. That's what it is. That's the word. It's spectrum. They can't break through the other light spectrum that cobalt blue is associated with. And that's why everything that's blue, the cars, the umbrellas, the fucking deck chairs, the t-shirts. But then my question would be, so, fine, the laser beams can't get through blue, right? But wouldn't the fire caused by the laser beam burn the blue things?
Does that... like a domino effect. I mean, theoretically, yes.
So that, I guess, is where my confusion is. Also, for those of you who don't know, there's an entire conspiracy theory that the fires were started by...
a direct energy weapon from a plane that is controlled by none other than the government.
The government. Also, there isn't just a plane up there, but there's a satellite that you can see on open source, for all of my nerdy military people out there. You can go on open source and you can see that there was a very interesting satellite that has been claimed to be owned by the Chinese government right over Lahaina. What has the Chinese government also been experimenting with lately? Direct energy weapons.
Coincidence?
I think
not.
It's just so many weird coincidences. So many.
There's
Look, like, you can't convince me that this was just an accidental wildfire. There's no fucking way.
I've seen wildfires. I've seen different fires, but the one of this magnitude, nothing is adding up. Nothing. There's too many inconsistencies. And then with the stuff that was signed behind closed doors, and then the fact that there's been a property like land run for like so many people, and like they've been trying to run off the natives for so long. And I mean, there's again so many inconsistencies, and I don't necessarily believe in coincidences. So
I believe once is a coincidence, and then anything after that is just purely done on purpose.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And then what also has me getting a little bit more sus too is like they're talking about doing a full government shutdown again because of COVID, or not like government shutdown because that's when, you know, the actual heads of government just decide to go fuck off for a month and not sign any of their important shit because
they go on
into
vacation.
A new fiscal year. Yeah, that's all they do. Anyway, I'm talking about like the government telling us not to leave our houses. I'm telling you, dude, as soon as they say that shit, I'm buying blue tarps and putting them on my house. You can't fucking convince me that that's not like, there's no way that the first time they locked us all up, that wasn't preparation for putting us into martial law. And like, just for shits and giggles, if this was purely a land grab and like, let's say that the government was testing weapons, let's just throw that out there because we know that historically they have done that in the past. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that they would do it again. If they were testing weapons and then something got fucked up and they were like, oh shit, things got a little too carried away there.
We got to put a blame on something else.
Right. But then why would they still be keeping so quiet about the death toll of literal children? Like, I think what people don't realize is, like, school was out that day. Kids were home.
Yeah.
There was, like, we're just not going to talk about the fact that hundreds of little babies are just dead now.
I don't think they're dead.
Okay, maybe they're not dead. They're probably on Epstein's Islands about to be dead. But irregardless, nobody that's not making headlines anywhere.
Well, okay, well, look through the history of things. How many times has children gone missing really ever hit headlines? The only ever time it ever hit headline was when Epstein got caught. Oh,
Found.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Found.
Not caught. But irregardless, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just really weird. And it just really goes up there to show more of, like, people don't fucking pay attention. They listen to whatever the news and the media are spewing, and those are all just controlled by the right wing and the left wing, respectively. And they're only going to preach the narratives that suit their issues. Like, it's just wild, dude. I think the reason why this makes me so angry is, as somebody who was in the Air Force and, like, fought for this country and literally gave everything I could to this country, I'm just watching the government just screw us over more and more. And, like, the fact that, like, nobody's even going to really aid them. So while we were having our technical difficulties, I was researching to see if, like, any sort of aid was going to Lahaina and whatnot. There's a couple GoFundMes. So, by the way, if you can, please send anything you have, like, anything you can to the population of Lahaina. They need it. Like, everything is gone. You can go. Sorry, go ahead. What are you saying? Oh my God.
But well, because though that is a nice gesture, and you're absolutely right. If you can send stuff, send it directly to, stay out of the whole FEMA realm.
Don't go in the FEMA rooms.
Well, here's the thing: is people have been sending stuff like that to aid Lahaina, and there's videos all over TikTok. If you look it up, the stuff that has been sent to Lahaina as to help them out has been palletized and wrapped and set behind FEMA border, and is not being touched, and is being told that it will not be released to the residents.
For why?
Because FEMA's
like,
in
that
control.
Doesn't surprise me, but it just, like, yeah. If you can, you know what we should do? I need to get, like, addresses that I can, like, straight up mail things to, like, actual people in Maui. And see, because Tony Erzaga's grandmother used to own property on one of the islands in Hawaii. I'm going to see if I can find out what that island is called, and maybe see if she has any contacts, so we can maybe start getting some stuff together to go down there. I personally am not in the position to send much, but I will send what I can, and then maybe we can start something for them. But that's just, it's wild. I don't understand why the government be doing government things like this.
Well, because if civilians are sending stuff to other residents, civilians, and the government's not getting their fucking gold star, then they don't want to allow that. You're not allowed to help one another. We want, on paper, we want you to be able to help one another. In reality, they're the ones that want to help anybody that's in need.
But it's so weird, though, because anything that could have been twisted as, like, 9/11, the Boston bombing, people were encouraged to, like, be there for one another, help one another. Like, as somebody who lived in Boston during the Boston bombing, like, we were getting so much aid from the government. Like, and there really wasn't even that, like, not much happened. Like, obviously, it was a tragedy and people died and whatnot. Awful. But, like, in comparison, come on. And then same with 9/11, like, obviously, again, huge tragedy. Absolutely huge tragedy. My heart goes out to everybody who's lost somebody or whatnot from that. But at the end of the day, those people in New York and those people in Boston were still getting so much more help and aid than these people in Maui. And, like, these are people who have lost literally everything. Lucky if they escaped with the clothes on their back, and nothing is being done to help them. Instead, shit's being held behind closed doors.
Go fucking figure.
It boggles my mind, dude.
It's sickening, and it does boggle my mind as well.
I just don't understand how, like, the 1%ers can be that. Ooh, speaking of 1%ers, so what the fuck is Oprah Winfrey's house made out of?
Oh, you want okay about that? When the wildfire started, she had her own private firefighters hosing all of her land at all times, and then
Wow.
she also has her own private security team making sure that nobody ends up on her land during these times.
Oh, because, she's so concerned for the people that she's going to donate $15 million, but she can't offer up her home to help them when she has like 800 other properties. That's so strange.
I've never liked Oprah. Because she's on. I think she even was kind of name dropped on the Epstein list.
Yeah, she was. I don't know how she was like name dropped, like her involvement specifically.
Well, she was on the flight log.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She was. And I know she was because I looked through every page of that flight log, and I wanted to highlight how many times certain political figures were involved. Hillary Clinton. The number is 15.
I feel like we can easily make this a whole part 2 as well, because there's so much information daily coming in about it.
But like, it's information daily coming in from the people that live there. Like, my thing on it is, obviously, as y'all know, I was, in essence, an investigative reporter for the Air Force. My technical term was data analysis. But if you were to put like an actual label on it, I did investigative reporting. And so, like, I really like to look at facts and data, and I can't see any facts and data for this. And it's so frustrating because, like, there is a lot of fake bullshit on the internet. We know this. The direct energy beam pictures that are being utilized, most of them are images from when Elon Musk's rocket was launched or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's what most of those pictures are. And then in addition, a lot of the pictures of the vehicles have also been faked. But there's a lot of pictures that have definitely not been faked. And I have investigated them 20 ways to Sunday, and they're definitely fucking real.
I know Photoshop's a thing, but sometimes, you can, if you dig deep enough, you hit pay dirt.
You just look into the metrics of the pictures.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. It's not that hard. But, like, for real, though. And then finding out about the Chinese fucking satellite that was hanging out over the...
Just so happened to be hanging out.
Like, it just so happened to be in orbit that night. You can't tell me that they were doing hurricane radar, like, checking to make sure that the hurricane wasn't moving towards them. Like, no. It wasn't a weather satellite. It's an intelligence like, from what I understand, from what I've read, it's like, it picks up information. So I don't know. I don't understand how any of that works. I'm dumb. Irregardless, we need to make, as more information comes out on this, I definitely want to come back and touch on this topic more, because I want to know what's going on. And I also, if anybody of our listeners are in or know of people in Maui, if you could, like, send us as much information of what people are saying on the ground, like, that would be great, because I would like to know how we can help. Maybe, like I was saying, start a GoFundMe or something so that we can send aid directly to the people there in any way, shape, or form that we can help. I would like to. But I think on that note, it's going to be a good time to wrap this up, because I think we've exhausted the amount of resources we have to investigate this further.
And had I not hit technical difficulties in this episode, we would have probably been able to go a little bit longer. But luckily, with this being as so big as it is, that a lot of stuff is unfolding. It's easy to do a follow-up. And so if you, as you guys have seen on Spotify, if you have any certain part of this, or if you have information, please drop it on the Spotify link. Or if you want, feel free to email or message any of us on our social media platforms. You can see it in the link tree on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're all there. Just reach out. All the places. So that's, it's easy as 1, 2, 3.
Facts. We are here. We want to help. We want to get the word out that shit's going down in Maui. And if it is just a land grab,
I think it's a land grab.
Maybe we can get the internet to do the internet thing and force people not to take sacred land away from Native people.
Instead of storming Area 51, we storm Oprah Winfrey's properties.
I like it. All right, TikTok, if we can get enough people together, we are going to storm Oprah Winfrey's property.
They can't shoot and arrest all of us. I promise you that.
They really can't.
They really can't.
Most of them can't run. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Yeah, this was an interesting one. We'll see what happens next time, I guess.
We'll be back for another time, you guys. We appreciate you tuning in. This is Nick, the Oklahomie.
And I'm Ellie, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, you guys. Come down the rabbit hole.